Now, welcome to our first lesson on units. Today, we're going to be looking at working out how tall things are, how long things are, how heavy things are, and how big things are. Okay. So we're going to start with what we call volume. Right? We're going to start with what we call volume, and volume is basically measuring how much we have, like in a container, how much liquid we have in a container, for example. Okay. So we're going to be doing what we call volume. Now with the volume, I'm going to be looking at how much water this bucket can contain, how much drink is in here, how much drink is in that, and how much drink will be there. Okay, they're going to ask you this kind of stuff, right? Okay, so you need to know one thing is that how much liquid you have is always measured in liter, and 1 liter, I can convert that to milliliters, and you should know that it is 1,000 milliliters. So that's something you'll be required to know, right? So 1 liter is 1,000 milliliters. Now, if I think about this Coca-Cola drink, this is normally 2 liters. Okay. Now, if it's 2 liters, then I can change that to liters. That's going to be 2,000 milliliters. Okay. So when you see this, know that that is just about 2 liters. Now, this is always a half a liter. Half a liter is written as 0.5 liters. Now, half a liter is going to be half of this 1,000 here in milliliters. So that's going to be 500 milliliters. Okay. So this small bottle of Sprite will always be 500 milliliters. Okay. Now, this one, if you look carefully, it's always written next to it is about 300 milliliters, but precisely it's always 330 milliliters, right? So this is not even half to half, okay? So this is 500 milliliters, and that's always 300 and 330 milliliters. You can always get bigger bottles, bigger than this, but smaller than this, that are basically 1 liter. So she will tell that. Now, how much water do you think would be in this bucket here in terms of liters? Now, if this is 2 liters, to me this one is about 5 liters. Okay, so that's going to be about 5 liters if you fill it up. And if you change that to milliliters, that's going to be 5,000 milliliters. Okay, so you need to know how much liquid or how much water could be in a particular container. And I just asking you to try to memorize this, because when you know what these ones are, then you can work out anything they give in the test. Okay, so if you're going to do 11 plus test, or if you're doing a year 7 entrance exam, or if you're just doing maths in year 7 or 6 or 8, these kind of questions they can ask you. So you need to know how much there is. Okay, so that is volume, which is how much liquid you find in a place. Right? Okay, now we're going to now think about how long or how tall things are. We're going to be thinking about the length or the height of things. And we're going to start with meter rule. This one, you see this one, you see your teacher use this. And if you remember, this is always 1 meter. Now 1 meter can be changed into centimeters, and you should know that 1 meter is 100 centimeters. And that length is basically how long this one is. Okay. Now, if this board ruler is 1 meter, how tall is this man going to be in meters? Okay. I can see that if I was to stack these rulers here, to the height of a man, I could see that there will almost be 2 rulers I need for that. Almost 2 rulers I need for that. But to be precisely, the height of somebody is always just about 1.8 meters. Okay, so that is basically 1 meter and 80 centimeters. Yeah, so it's going to be one of this plus nearly another one if you stack them together. So 1.8 meters or 1 meter and 8 centimeters. Now, you can change this into centimeters by timesing it by 100, because remember, 1 meter is 100 centimeters. So 1.8 meters, you just times it by 100 to change the centimeters. Okay. And when you times in that, the decimal point moves how many times? It moves twice because I've got 2 zeros. So it moves there. Okay. And don't forget to put the 0 there. And this decimal point is not there anymore. Right? So 1.8 meters. To convert that to centimeters, all you need to do is to times it. You just times it by this number here. Okay. So the answer is going to be 180 centimeters. So this man is 180 centimeters in height. Okay. So he's 1.8 meters or 1 meter and 8 centimeters or 180. If this man is 1.8, the height of a door would be about 2 meters or slightly more than that. So if this man is 1.8, then the door, if you think about it, would be just about 2 meters or 200 centimeters. Okay, so the door would be 2 meters or just 200 centimeters. Okay, so you need to memorize this. You need to understand that. Okay, the other thing I could be thinking about is maybe the height of this bottle here, the one in front of me. Now the height of this bottle, if this is 100 centimeters, the height of this bottle would be just about 30, which is that small rule I normally use at school to draw margins in your book, right? So that would be just about 30 centimeters height, okay? Now the length of this car, if this is 1 meter ruler, and if this man is about 2 meters, then I would think that the length of this car would be just about something like nearly 4. It could be about 4 meters or 4.5 meters or just about 5, the length of this car there, okay? Right. The next is, so that's basically the length. If I'm measuring long distances, then I need to measure them in kilometers. So if I'm measuring the distance from one town to the other one, I can use kilometers. So kilometers, 1 kilometer is always 1,000 meters. Okay, so you need to know that. So 1 kilometer is like laying these rollers, 1,000 of them on the road until you get to the other end. So if you're talking about a driving distance or a long walking distance, you measure that in kilometers. Don't measure that in meters. Okay. So meters would be things like height of a man, height of a wall. Now, if you're measuring small things like maybe the height of this can, yeah, you can measure this in centimeters, and that looks like about, I would say about 10 centimeters or 15 centimeters, just about that. Okay. If you're measuring how thick this coin is, just the thickness of that, this you have to measure in millimeters because it's so small, and 1 centimeters is always 10 millimeters. Okay, so that's how to do these kind of things. Now the other thing we need to think about is how heavy stuff are, how heavy things are. Okay, now this man typically weighs, the weight of a man is always about 70 kilogram or about 80. Okay, so this man here is about I'll just say about 80 kilograms. Now remember 1 kilogram is 1,000 grams. Okay, so if I want to change this 80 to grams, I times it by this number here. So this man is going to be 80 times by 1,000 grams. Okay, so that's 80 times by 1,000 grams. So that's the weight of this man. Okay, now the weight of this car would be what something called ton, and the weight of a car is always about 2 tons. Okay, that's 2 tons. It's very heavy, very, very heavy things. You measure them in tons. And 1 ton is always 1,000 kilograms. So if I've got 2 tons, that's going to be 2,000 kilograms. That is the weight of a car, yeah, roughly. It's the same as the weight of an elephant, likewise. So that's just that. Now, this is not even up to 1 kilogram. So this could be about half a kilogram, which is 500 grams, if I was to weigh that. Okay. Now, if I was to weigh this one, this would be about 2 kilograms. If I was weighing that, about 2 kilograms, this would be about, I would say 600 grams if you're weighing that. Okay, remember 1 kilo is 1,000 grams, so 600 grams is just slightly more than half. Okay, now this bucket here would be about 5 kilograms if it's full of water, or 5,000 grams. Okay, so that's how you need to think about things. This coin will be very, very, if I weigh this one, would not be even up to 20 grams, or maybe it's just going to be about 30 grams. It's not that heavy. Okay, so things that are not heavy, you measure them in grams. Things that are a bit heavy, you measure in kilograms, and things that are very, very heavy, you measure in tons. Okay, now I want you to pause the video quickly and try question 1 to 5. So pause the video, try question 1 to 5. Okay, hope you've done that. Question 1 says, which of these units will you use to measure the following? Number 1, the height of a rabbit. Kilometers is too long. That's a driving distance or a long walking distance. Centimeters, yep, that sounds like it. So if I want to measure how tall this rabbit is, the rabbit is going to be measured in centimeters. And I would say that this is just about 30 centimeters. Yeah. The distance between London and Liverpool, that's a long driving distance, so we measure in kilometers. Okay, the height of a building is not that far, so we're just going to measure that in meters. Remember, the height of a man is 2 meters, it's about 2 meters. So the height of a building could be about what? 4 meters. Okay, so it could be about 4 meters or about 400 centimeters. Okay, so this is just a height of something, that's a bit long, you measure in that's a bit tall, you measure in meters. The thickness of a coin is so small, so we measure that in millimeters, centimeters, and kilometers a bit, and meters a bit more. So basically millimeters will do for that. Okay. Now, Tom bought a melon with a mass of 1.56 kilograms. What is the mass of the melon in grams? Number one, you need to know what 1 kilogram is, and we say that 1 kilograms is 1,000 grams. So if I want to change from kilograms to grams, I times by 1,000, correct? So I'm going to do 1.56, and I'm going to times that by 1,000. Now, when you times it by 1,000, you got to move the decimal point 3 times because I've got 3 zeros there. So that's going to be 1, 2, and 3. The decimal point is there. You need to put 0 in this space here. Okay. So the decimal point is not there anymore. So your answer is 1,560 grams. So it's 1,560 grams. Okay. So if you want to pause the video and then you just basically take your work, the answers are in front of you, and that will be the end for this first session. So pause the video and just mark your work. Okay. Right. So hope you done well on that, and that's going to be the end of our first session on converting units.